Imagine for a moment if your own mind held the blueprint to your healing. Or maybe if your thoughts could literally reshape your physical reality. It's a pretty profound concept, isn't it? What if you yourself are actually the most powerful remedy you possess?
Yeah, today we're taking a deep dive into exactly that. We're exploring this remarkable connection between mind and body, and really how our inner world, our thoughts and beliefs, can profoundly influence our physical and emotional well-being. It's a field that's really challenging conventional wisdom, opening up incredible possibilities.
Right. And our main source for this deep dive is Dr. Joe Dispenza's powerful book, You Are the Placebo. It's a work that really asks us to look beyond our assumptions, and consider the inherent capacity within each of us to create, tangible change from the inside out.
Exactly. Our mission here is to unpack how belief, clear intention, and even mental rehearsal, they aren't just abstract ideas, they're potent forces that can trigger measurable physiological shifts. We'll explore how these elements transform not just health outcomes, but our very state of being. So get ready for some insights that will almost certainly reframe how you think about your own health and potential.
Okay. Let's kick off with a story, one that truly brings this idea home. Picture Sam Lowend. He was a retired shoe salesman back in the 1970s. He gets diagnosed with incurable esophageal cancer, and his one wish was simply to live until Christmas. And remarkably, his condition improved significantly. He, defied expectations, only to then deteriorate rapidly and die shortly after Christmas. But here's the really astonishing part. An autopsy revealed he had minimal cancer, just tiny traces. He died, quite simply, because everyone around him, and maybe he himself, thought he was dying.
Wow. Yeah, Sam Lowend's story is such a stark illustration of the nocebo effect. That's where negative beliefs and expectations, even collective ones, can manifest these incredibly powerful and adverse physical outcomes. It just shows how potent our mental constructs truly are.
Nocebo, so the opposite of placebo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we see this principle playing out in various forms. Think of Fred Mason. He's a graduate student. He experienced severe, verifiable side effects after believing he'd overdosed on experimental pills, which were, in fact, just placebos, sugar pills. His symptoms were completely real, but purely driven by his belief.
That's fascinating. And it works the other way too, right? The positive side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Conversely, you have cases like Jana Schoenfeld. She'd suffered from long-term depression for years. She found profound relief, real improvement, after participating in a placebo trial for a new antidepressant. Her brain, just through belief alone, was able to create the chemical changes usually associated with an active drug. And these stories, like Mr. Right too, his lymphoma symptoms vanished with a placebo injection, only to return when he learned it was ineffective. They all point to this profound truth. The subjective mind has a measurable objective impact on our physiology.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, how much of what we attribute solely to medical intervention might actually be, profoundly influenced by our own belief and expectation?
That's such a critical question, and it's one that scientific studies have increasingly grappled with. Take Dr. Mosley's well-known knee surgery trial. Patients suffering from osteoarthritis who underwent sham surgery, basically fake surgery, reported the same level of improvement as those who had the actual surgical procedures.
No way. The same.
The same level of improvement. Similarly, heart surgery studies have shown significant improvements in patients who received sham surgeries. These aren't just isolated incidents. They really underscore the strength of what we call the placebo effect. This whole phenomenon was famously brought to light during World War II. Surgeon Henry Beecher, he was facing a morphine shortage. He used saline to salt water on an injured soldier, who then reported feeling calm, like the morphine was working. And this realization led to the widespread adoption of randomized controlled trials in medicine precisely to account for these powerful non-drug responses.
Okay, so if we pull this all together, what does this mean for us? For you listening, it sounds like a significant chunk of our health outcomes might be intimately tied to our internal state, our mind.
Exactly. It suggests that many illnesses could be exacerbated, made worse, by persistent negative thoughts, stress, or that feeling of hopelessness. Conversely, it implies that our capacity for healing, it may often be deeply rooted in our mindset, our beliefs, our expectations for recovery. It's actually a truly empowering perspective. It shifts some of the control back to the individual,
That's a powerful statement, but how? How exactly are our thoughts creating these kinds of measurable physical changes? It's not just wishful thinking, is it? There must be some science behind it.
You're absolutely right. It's not magic. It's biology. The placebo response and its counterpart, the nocebo effect, seem to be orchestrated by three key elements: conditioning, expectation, and meaning.
Okay, break those down for us. Conditioning.
So conditioning is basically a learned association, like Pavlov's dogs, right? If you've always taken aspirin for a headache and it always works, your body becomes conditioned. It learns to expect relief. Eventually, even a sugar pill, if you think it's aspirin, can trigger a physiological response because of that learned pattern.
Got it. Learned response. What about expectation?
Expectation is all about anticipation. What you anticipate will happen. So when a credible source, like your doctor, tells you a treatment will work, your brain generates these positive anticipations. And that can directly trigger physiological changes. It sort of primes your body to heal.
Okay, makes sense. And the third one, meaning.
Right. Meaning, this is about the significance you personally attribute to an action or a thought. If you deeply believe a certain practice, maybe meditation or even just a thought pattern, has profound benefits for you, that deep personal meaning enhances its effectiveness. It positively impacts your health because you recognize its inherent value and importance to you.
That's a really clear framework. Conditioning, expectation, meaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And building on that, our brains aren't static things, are they? We hear about neuroplasticity all the time. How does that fit in? This is where it gets really compelling. Our thoughts don't just influence our brain. They actively change its structure. That's neuroplasticity. Every new experience, every new thought you focus on, every new emotion you cultivate, it can literally create new synaptic connections, new pathways in your brain. So it's way beyond just thinking positively. Your brain is continuously physically rewiring itself based on your repeated thoughts and feelings. Okay. Dr. Dispenza talks about this cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking. That creates your very state of being by literally building your neural architecture over time.
Wow. Okay, so the brain is physically changing, but extending this to our genes, that sounds like a huge leap.
It does sound like a leap, but it's grounded in the science of epigenetics. It's a fascinating field. Epigenetics shows that external factors, and this includes our consciousness, our experiences, our environment, can modify genetic expression. Now, they don't change your underlying DNA code, your actual genes, but they can act like dimmer switches, turning genes on or off or influencing how strongly they're expressed.
It's like instructions for the genes.
Kind of, yeah. It means that while your genes contribute to who you are, they don't solely determine your destiny. You, through your mind, your choices, your lifestyle, hold a powerful influence over how your genes behave. Stress, for instance, is a major trigger for negative epigenetic changes. It pushes your body into survival mode, throws systems out of balance. Conversely, positive states, positive emotions, can actually activate genes associated with repair, growth, and well-being.
Okay, to really make this concrete, let's talk about that classic study. Back in 1981, Harvard psychologist Ellen Langer did this amazing experiment. 8 elderly men went on a 5-day retreat, and the whole environment was meticulously designed to make them feel like they were 22 years younger. Everything around them was from 1959, and what happened?
The results were stunning. After just 5 days, objective measurements showed significant physiological improvements in these men. Things like better posture, more flexibility, better vision, hearing, increased grip strength, even improved mental cognition.
Some even stopped using their canes.
Exactly. They literally manifested aspects of a younger version of themselves purely by being immersed in an environment and adopting a mindset that suggested youth.
That's incredible.
And that study is a perfect segue into the power of mental rehearsal. This isn't just, passive daydreaming. It involves vividly imagining future actions and experiences with all your senses over and over until they feel completely real and familiar in your mind. Now, here's the key. When you combine this clear intention with elevated emotions like joy, gratitude, awe, love, you're essentially signaling new genes in new ways. Your brain and body begin to act as if the desired future is already happening right now.
So the brain doesn't know the difference.
Crucially, during this focus process, the brain doesn't easily differentiate between a vividly imagined inner thought experience and an actual outer real-world experience. You are, in essence, becoming an epigenetic engineer of your own cells. You're using your mind to directly influence your biological destiny.
We see evidence of this with high performers, don't we? Athletes like Aaron Rodgers, he's famous for his visualization. Entertainers like Jim Carrey, who apparently wrote himself a check for millions before he made it big.
Absolutely. Those are great examples. And studies back it up too. Research shows that simply imagining playing the piano can create equivalent brain changes to actually physically practicing it. The mind's capacity for adaptation and change through thought alone is profound. It can even influence things like stem cells, potentially speeding up healing and recovery.
It just makes you pause and think. If your body genuinely doesn't know the difference between something real and something vividly imagined.
Oh.
What reality are you choosing to rehearse today?
And this right here brings us to the core message. You are the placebo. The possibility of verifiable healing, of transformation, exists as an unknown potential, a potential reality within what Dr. Dispenza often refers to as the quantum field. This invisible field of pure potential energy and information. It just remains there as potential until it is consciously observed and realized by someone.
Observed, like chosen.
In a way, yes. Chosen and embodied. This leads to the critical role of suggestibility. How open are you to suggestion, to new information? The effectiveness of things like hypnosis and the placebo effect itself really hinges on our ability to accept, believe, and surrender to a new idea or possibility. And here's where emotions become critical again. Gratitude, for instance, is considered one of the most powerful emotions for increasing your level of suggestibility. It opens your mind and heart to receive new possibilities.
That's a lot to take in, but it's incredibly exciting. But let's be real, our analytical minds, the part that doubts, that remembers past failures, that can really get in the way of this, can it?
Oh, absolutely. Our critical, analytical mind often acts like a gatekeeper. It's programmed by the past, holding on to old patterns and beliefs. But when we learn to quiet that analytical mind, to go beyond it, and consistently reinforce new beliefs with strong emotion, that's when change happens. Think about those extreme examples, like the traditional Japanese boy who reportedly consumed broken glass without harm, or Fijian firewalkers who walk on hot coals. Their unwavering belief, their complete lack of analytical interference in that moment, enables them to experience altered biological states that seem to defy conventional understanding. These examples just highlight the extreme power of this principle. The only way to truly change your core beliefs and perceptions and to create a sustained placebo response is to actually change your state of being, to literally become someone new through focused intention and elevated emotion.
Okay, so we're not just talking about managing symptoms here. This is about a fundamental transformation. How does this connect to something like the quantum mind model that Dr. Dispenza introduces? That sounds pretty out there.
It can sound that way initially, but it offers a useful framework. This quantum model suggests that reality isn't this fixed, solid thing we usually perceive. Instead, it's a dynamic interplay of energy and information, a field of possibilities. Now, the observer effect, a principle from quantum physics, suggests that subatomic particles exist in a state of probability, like waves of potential, until they are observed. Applied metaphorically to our consciousness, this implies that our conscious attention, our focus, can collapse infinite possibilities from that quantum field into one tangible reality.
So where you put your attention is where you put your energy.
Exactly. That's a key phrase. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and thus what you tend to manifest or experience in your life. Furthermore, in this model, all disease can be viewed as a lowering of frequency or a state of incoherence within the body's energy systems. Stress, for example, creates this incoherence, this chaos. By consciously cultivating and maintaining elevated energetic states through positive emotions, coherent thoughts, meditation, we improve health by increasing coherence in our bodily functions, bringing our systems into greater harmony and order.
This all sounds incredibly powerful, maybe even a bit unbelievable for some, but does it actually work in practice? Are there real, tangible results from people, say, in Dr. Dispenza's workshops that demonstrate this kind of transformation?
Oh, absolutely. And that's crucial, isn't it? The proof is in the pudding. His workshops are filled with stories of verifiable personal transformation, often documented with brain scans and other measures. Take Michelle, who was recovering from Parkinson's disease. After consistent meditation practice, she saw significant improvement in her symptoms, tremors reducing, mobility increasing, and they documented remarkable changes in her brain activity on EEG scans showing more coherence. Then there's John, who sustained a severe spinal injury. Doctors gave him a pretty bleak prognosis. Through intentional mental rehearsal and meditation, he enhanced his cognitive and physical abilities far beyond expectations, regaining functions thought lost. And Bonnie, who dramatically resolved the symptoms associated with a large fibroid tumor after just one intensive meditation session during a workshop.
Wow, after just one session.
In her case, yes, a profound shift occurred quickly. And what's compelling is that Dr. Jeffrey Fannin, a neuroscientist who works with Dispenza, uses EEG technology to measure these changes in real time. They see measurable shifts towards more balanced, coherent brain states and report significant improvements in emotional well-being during these group meditations. It provides objective data that correlates with these profound subjective experiences of healing and transformation.
Those are genuinely astounding real-world examples. Okay, so for our listeners who are inspired by this, what's the practical path? How do we actually start applying these principles to become our own placebo?
Right, the practical application. These transformations really underscore that change fundamentally comes from within. It's an inside job. The practical path, as outlined by Dispenza, heavily involves daily meditation. He often describes meditation as taking the placebo every day by intentionally going inward to change your internal state. Preparation is pretty key to making it effective. First, choose beneficial times. The sweet spots are often just before bed or right upon waking up. Your brain is naturally in a more suggestible, relaxed state then, the alpha or theta brainwave states.
Okay, so first thing in the morning or last thing at night?
Generally, yes.
Shepherd.
Second, create your space. Find a quiet, distraction-free environment where you won't likely be interrupted. Consistency is helped by having a dedicated spot. Third, get comfortable. Make your body comfortable enough that it won't be a constant distraction. Maybe sitting upright is better than lying down to avoid drifting off.
Right, not too comfortable.
Exactly, you want to stay aware. Fourth, commit the time. Aim for, say, 45 minutes to an hour if possible. It takes time to really move beyond the analytical mind and sink into the process.
Okay, so set the stage. Then what happens in the meditation itself?
Meditation itself typically involves an open focus induction phase first. This is where you consciously disconnect from your usual identity, your problems, your schedule, everything associated with your known self. You move your awareness from a narrow focus on things out there to an open focus on the space around you, or the space within you, entering what he calls the quantum void, or the present moment. This is a state of deep inner stillness, a mental space of pure potential where anything feels possible because you're not defined by your past. Then, from this open, receptive state, you actively work on replacing unwanted beliefs and old emotional patterns with new empowering ones. You couple a very clear intention for your desired future, what you want to create or experience, with a heightened, elevated emotion, like profound joy, deep gratitude, or unconditional love. And you have to truly feel that emotion. Put your whole heart into it. Really try to get goosebumps, making it a complete mind-body experience. That's what rewires the brain and signals the body.
So, to recap, we've really explored how your thoughts, your beliefs, even your focused imagination, they aren't just abstract concepts floating around. They are incredibly powerful forces that can literally reshape your brain, influence which genes get expressed, and create tangible physical and emotional transformation. It's a profound re-understanding of our innate capabilities, isn't it?
It really is. This deep dive into the ideas in You Are the Placebo offers, I think, a truly empowering understanding. The core message is that you hold the keys to your genetic destiny, to a large part of your healing journey. It really encourages you to step into the unknown, to challenge that limiting idea that your past automatically dictates your future, and to consistently embrace new thoughts and new elevated emotions to consciously forge a healthier, more vibrant future for yourself.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If your body can truly respond to a new mind, and if you really can create your future not just from the predictable known, but from the infinite potential of the unknown, what incredible possibility are you ready to observe into reality this week?